Have you ever felt trapped in a relationship that drains your spirit, undermines your confidence, or erodes your sense of self-worth? Relationships are the fabric of our lives, shaping who we are and how we experience the world. At their best, they bring joy, comfort, and strength. But not all connections are meant to last forever. Sometimes, even the most sacred bonds, family and close friendships, can become burdens, holding us back instead of lifting us up. The Stoics, masters of inner resilience and clarity, understood this truth deeply. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Epictetus teaches, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." And Seneca urges, "Associate with those who make you a better person." Their timeless wisdom challenges us to examine our relationships and align them with our values, growth, and peace. In this journey, we'll explore 9 clear signs that it's time to let go, even of those closest to you. Together, we'll uncover how cutting ties can be an act of courage, self-respect, and spiritual liberation. Are you ready to reclaim your freedom and step into a life of authentic connections? Let's begin. Sign 1. When the relationship is rooted in harm. Have you ever found yourself in a relationship that feels more like a battlefield than a sanctuary? Relationships should nourish us, but when they become sources of harm through emotional abuse, belittlement, or exploitation, they violate the Stoic principle of living in harmony with virtue. Marcus Aurelius teaches us, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." If a relationship pulls you away from your virtues and values, it is time to reassess its place in your life. Imagine a Zen parable about a monk who found a venomous snake in need of help. Driven by compassion, the monk nursed the snake back to health, only to be bitten repeatedly. Eventually, he realized that while his intentions were pure, the snake's nature was to bite. Staying wasn't an act of kindness, it was an act of self-destruction. Similarly, staying in harmful relationships isn't compassion, it's denial of your own worth. I once had a friend who constantly belittled my achievements, masking it as constructive criticism. Despite my best efforts to support and understand them, my kindness was mistaken for weakness. Over time, I realized their actions weren't about helping me grow. They were about projecting their insecurities. Walking away wasn't easy, but it was necessary to reclaim my peace and confidence. Have you ever experienced a relationship where your kindness was exploited or your boundaries were consistently crossed? If so, what did you do? Share your story in the comments below. It might resonate with someone else struggling with the same dilemma. The lesson here is clear. Staying in a harmful relationship only perpetuates suffering for both parties. To walk away is not an act of hatred, but an affirmation of self-respect and a chance for the other person to face the consequences of their actions. Stoic philosophy reminds us that our primary duty is to guard our peace and align our lives with what is virtuous and meaningful. Practical steps can help. Start by setting firm boundaries. If those are disrespected, consider stepping back entirely. Reflect on this. What would my life feel like if I released this burden? If this resonates with you, hit the like button and share this video to spread the message. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to continue exploring ways to create healthier, more fulfilling connections in your life. Let's grow together toward peace, wisdom, and strength. Sign 2. When you feel unseen and unheard. Walking away from a harmful relationship is a step toward reclaiming your peace. But what about relationships where you're not actively harmed, yet you constantly feel invisible? Imagine being in a conversation where your words seem to float in the air, unheard and unacknowledged. or worse, being in a relationship where your emotions are dismissed as too much or not important. Relationships thrive on mutual respect and understanding, and when that's absent, the connection loses its harmony. As Epictetus reminds us, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. Yet, how often do we find ourselves surrounded by those who fail to listen? Let me paint a picture. A friend of mine, Clara, once confided in her partner about feeling overwhelmed at work. She described her struggle balancing deadlines and personal commitments, hoping for empathy. Instead, her partner sighed, "You think that's hard? You should hear about my day." Clara felt her concerns dismissed, her feelings invalidated. Over time, these moments accumulated, making her feel unseen in her own relationship. "It's like shouting into a void," she told me one day. Have you ever been in Clara's shoes, desperately hoping someone would truly hear you? Moments like these force us to confront a difficult truth. Not everyone in our lives values us for who we are. In Stoic philosophy, the principle of sympatheia, interconnectedness, teaches that relationships should honor our individuality while fostering connection. A flower doesn't bloom to be admired, yet it withers when trampled underfoot. If someone continually overlooks your essence, it's not your duty to keep blooming for them. What would it feel like to surround yourself with people who see and honor your true self? If this resonates with you, share your thoughts or experiences in the comments below. Your story could inspire someone struggling to find their voice. To nurture healthy relationships, reflect on your own needs and boundaries. Practice speaking up, and if your voice isn't valued, don't hesitate to create space for those who truly care. If you find value in this perspective, like this video, subscribe and turn on notifications for more insights on how to cultivate meaningful, Stoic-aligned connections. Together, we can embrace relationships built on mutual respect and understanding. Sign 3. When the relationship hinders your growth. Sometimes the weight of a relationship isn't measured by its presence, but by its impact on your ability to grow. Have you ever felt like someone close to you dismisses your dreams, belittles your ambitions, or subtly discourages you from pursuing what matters most? Relationships, like rivers, should guide you closer to your potential, not anchor you in stagnation. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Yet, staying tethered to relationships that resist your progress denies you the strength to flourish. I recall a former colleague, Michael, who once shared a story about his older brother. Michael dreamed of starting his own business, but every time he mentioned it, his brother would scoff, "Why risk everything when you have a stable job?" Though well-intentioned, his brother's words reflected fear, not encouragement. "I started questioning myself," Michael confessed. "Was I foolish to think I could do it?" Maybe he was right. Have you ever had someone sow seeds of doubt in your mind when all you needed was support? Zen philosophy asks, what do you carry that is too heavy? For Michael, it was the burden of someone else's skepticism, holding him back from pursuing his dreams. Over time, he realized that his brother's doubts weren't about him. They were a reflection of his brother's own fears. Michael eventually decided to share his plans less with his brother and instead surround himself with people who believed in his vision. That shift made all the difference. If you feel like a relationship in your life is weighing you down, take a moment to ask yourself, is this connection helping me grow or holding me back? Write down the relationships that energize you and those that leave you feeling drained. True connections nurture growth, not stifle it. Walking away doesn't mean abandoning the person, but choosing liberation for both parties. Your potential deserves space to thrive. If this perspective resonates, share your thoughts below. How have you handled relationships that hindered your growth? And don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Together, let's build a community that fosters growth, encouragement, and the pursuit of our highest selves. Sign 4. When love becomes conditional. Growth flourishes in relationships that encourage and uplift, but what happens when love comes with strings attached? Imagine striving to reach your potential, only to feel stifled by someone who claims to love you but expects you to conform to their ideals. True love, as Stoic philosophy suggests, nurtures freedom and individuality, not control. Seneca wisely observed, "He who loves you is not the one who tries to shape you, but the one who accepts you as you are." A friend of mine, Sophie, once shared a story about her relationship with her mother. While Sophie loved painting and dreamed of becoming an artist, her mother insisted she pursue law instead. "You'll thank me later," her mother would say. Sophie spent years in law school, suppressing her artistic passion to gain her mother's approval. During one heated conversation, Sophie finally asked, "If you love me, why can't you support what makes me happy?" Her mother replied, "Because I know what's best for you." Have you ever felt like Sophie, caught in a relationship where love feels like a transaction rather than a gift? This dynamic is like the Zen parable of the young tree overshadowed by an overbearing elder tree. Though the elder tree claims to shield the sapling, its imposing presence blocks the sunlight, stunting growth. Conditional love operates in a similar way, disguising control as care while suffocating individuality. Ask yourself, does the love I receive respect my uniqueness, or does it demand that I fit into someone else's mold? Unconditional love creates space for growth and authenticity, while conditional love often reflects the giver's ego-driven expectations. Sophie eventually began setting boundaries, expressing her desires without seeking validation. While it strained her relationship with her mother at first, it also led to deeper conversations that reshaped their bond. Now Sophie says, "The love we share feels real because I don't have to sacrifice who I am to receive it." What about you? Have you experienced relationships where love felt conditional? How did you handle it? Share your thoughts or stories in the comments below. They could inspire someone in a similar situation. If this perspective resonates with you, like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications to explore more ways to cultivate authentic, meaningful connections. Together, we can build relationships that honor and celebrate our true selves. Sign 5. When forgiveness becomes impossible. Forgiveness is a cornerstone of both Stoic philosophy and human relationships. It is the act of releasing anger and resentment, not excusing harm or tolerating repeated offenses. But what happens when forgiveness becomes an endless cycle, where someone consistently wounds you, offers hollow apologies, and returns to the same hurtful behaviors? Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." Sometimes, the most compassionate choice for both parties is to step away, allowing wounds to heal and boundaries to form. Imagine this scenario. Emma has been friends with Rachel since childhood. Rachel has a pattern of using harsh words during arguments, often apologizing later with promises to change. Emma forgave her repeatedly, clinging to the hope that their long history meant their friendship could weather any storm. But after one particularly cruel argument, Rachel said, "You know I don't mean it. Stop being so sensitive." For Emma, it was the breaking point. The apologies no longer felt sincere, and the friendship began to feel more like an emotional trap than a source of joy. Have you ever been in Emma's position, wondering if forgiving someone again would only lead to more hurt? A Zen proverb says, "A broken pot may still hold water, but a shattered one cannot." Some relationships are so fractured that reconciliation becomes impossible. Clinging to them only prolongs suffering for both you and the other person. Forgiveness in such cases doesn't mean staying. It means letting go of resentment while respecting your own boundaries. Walking away can be an act of love, freeing both parties to reflect and grow. Take a moment to ask yourself, am I forgiving someone because I truly believe in their potential to change, or because I'm afraid of what walking away might mean? Journaling this question can help you clarify whether staying in the relationship aligns with your values or undermines your peace. Emma eventually chose to distance herself from Rachel. It wasn't easy, but it gave her the freedom to nurture relationships that respected her boundaries and valued her kindness. In time, Emma realized that stepping away wasn't just about protecting herself. It was also about giving Rachel the opportunity to recognize her actions and their consequences. What about you? Have you faced relationships where forgiveness alone wasn't enough? How did you handle it? Share your story in the comments below. It could provide clarity for someone walking the same path. If this perspective resonates, like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more insights into building relationships that honor your worth and peace. Together, let's embrace the courage to choose what serves our highest selves. Sign 6. When lies erode trust. Trust is the invisible thread that holds any relationship together. It's fragile, yet essential, a foundation upon which love, respect, and growth are built. But when lies creep into a relationship, that thread begins to fray. Epictetus reminds us, "What is destroyed by truth was never truly strong." Lies, no matter how small, undermine the integrity of a bond. If trust is shattered repeatedly, can the relationship still hold? Consider this story. Daniel had been friends with Alex for years. They shared everything, or so Daniel thought. One day, Daniel discovered Alex had been lying about something trivial but personal, a project at work that Alex claimed to have led. At first, Daniel brushed it off as an exaggeration, but over time, the lies grew bolder. Alex fabricated stories to make himself look better, often at Daniel's expense. When confronted, Alex laughed it off, saying, "It's just a little white lie, it doesn't mean anything." For Daniel, each lie felt like another thread unraveling, until he realized their friendship was built on illusion, not honesty. Have you ever felt the sting of betrayal from someone you trusted deeply? A Zen parable tells of a man crossing a bridge made of shadows. It appeared solid at first, but as he stepped forward, the bridge crumbled beneath him. Lies are like those shadows. They may provide temporary comfort, but they cannot support the weight of a meaningful connection. True relationships require transparency and authenticity to thrive. Ask yourself, do I feel safe sharing my truth with this person? Can I trust their words and actions to align? If the answer is no, it may be time to reevaluate the relationship. Trust, once broken, can sometimes be repaired, but only when both parties are committed to rebuilding it with honesty and accountability. Daniel eventually distanced himself from Alex, choosing to surround himself with people who valued sincerity over appearances. In doing so, he rediscovered the joy of relationships founded on mutual respect and genuine connection. I learned that trust isn't just about believing someone's words, Daniel reflected. It's about knowing their actions match their intentions. What about you? Have you ever faced the breaking point in a relationship because of lies? How did you navigate it? Share your experience in the comments below. Your story might resonate with someone who feels trapped in a web of deceit. If this insight resonates with you, like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications to explore more ways to build authentic, trustworthy relationships. Together, let's commit to connections that uplift, inspire, and honor the truth. Sign 7. When the energy exchange becomes one-sided. Every relationship, like a flourishing garden, requires balance. Just as a plant needs sunlight and water to grow, connections thrive when both parties give and receive equally. But what happens when the balance tips? When you're constantly pouring your energy into someone who never reciprocates, the relationship becomes draining instead of fulfilling. Marcus Aurelius advises, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Yet how can you cultivate joy when your emotional energy is being depleted by a one-sided relationship? Imagine Sophie, a woman who was always there for her best friend, Clara. Whenever Clara faced a problem, no matter how small, Sophie would drop everything to help. But when Sophie struggled through a tough period at work, Clara was nowhere to be found. Sophie confided, "I felt like I was watering a barren field, hoping it would eventually bloom, but it never did." Have you ever felt like Sophie, exhausted from giving too much in a relationship that never gives back? A Zen story illustrates this dynamic beautifully. A gardener spent years watering a barren plot of land, hoping for growth. Eventually, he realized his efforts were wasted as the soil was infertile. Redirecting his energy to fertile ground, he found satisfaction in nurturing plants that thrived. Relationships are much the same. When the energy exchange becomes one-sided, it's a sign to reevaluate where your time and effort are being invested. Ask yourself, am I the only one contributing to this relationship? Is my kindness being reciprocated, or is it taken for granted? Reflect on the connections in your life and categorize them into two groups, those that energize you and those that drain you. This simple exercise can reveal where you need to set boundaries or let go. For Sophie, setting boundaries with Clara wasn't easy. At first, Clara accused her of being selfish, but over time, Sophie learned that prioritizing her own well-being wasn't an act of selfishness, it was self-respect. She redirected her energy into friendships where care and support were mutual, and in doing so, she found balance and joy. What about you? Are there relationships in your life that leave you feeling drained rather than fulfilled? How have you navigated such dynamics? Share your story in the comments below. It could inspire others to reclaim their energy. If this resonates, like this video, subscribe and turn on notifications to learn more about cultivating healthy, balanced relationships. Together, let's build connections that uplift, energize, and inspire growth for both sides. Sign 8. When guilt chains you to the bond. Guilt can be a powerful force in relationships, but not always for the right reasons. While guilt can arise from genuine remorse, it is often used as a tool of control, an emotional chain that binds you to a connection long past its expiration date. Marcus Aurelius encourages us to evaluate our relationships thoughtfully. Do not waste the remainder of your life in thoughts about others when you do not refer your thoughts to some object of common utility. In other words, relationships should serve mutual growth, not foster cycles of guilt and obligation. Take James, for example, who felt trapped in a toxic relationship with his older sister Karen. Karen would frequently criticize James for not calling enough, attending every family gathering, or meeting her expectations. "Your family," she'd say, "you owe me that much." Despite James's efforts to show up when he could, Karen's guilt-inducing remarks made him feel like his best was never enough. Eventually, he began to dread their interactions, associating her voice with a sinking feeling of inadequacy. Think about your own relationships. Do you ever feel obligated to maintain a connection simply because of guilt? If so, what emotions arise when you consider stepping back? Take a moment to explore this in your mind. Your first instinct might reveal the true nature of the bond. Buddhist teachings remind us that guilt often stems from avidya, ignorance, rather than reality. By examining its source, we can free ourselves from its grip. For James, clarity came when he asked himself, "Whose expectations am I trying to fulfill, Karen's or my own?" He realized that guilt had clouded his judgment, keeping him tied to a dynamic that brought more harm than joy. Gradually, James set boundaries and chose interactions that felt genuine rather than forced. Ask yourself this: what would my relationships look like if guilt wasn't a factor? Picture the freedom and peace that could come from connections based on respect rather than obligation. If you've ever struggled to untangle yourself from guilt-driven relationships, how did you overcome it? Share your thoughts or strategies in the comments. Your insight might be just what someone else needs to hear. And if this message resonates with you, like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more lessons in reclaiming your peace. Together, let's cultivate connections rooted in mutual understanding, not emotional chains. Sign 9. When staying compromises your inner peace. Letting go of guilt is a significant step toward freedom. But what if staying in a relationship does more than just weigh you down? It disturbs your inner peace entirely. The Stoics believed that ataraxia, tranquility, was the foundation of a virtuous and meaningful life. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When a connection repeatedly disrupts your mental and emotional stability, it's a clear sign to reevaluate its place in your life. Picture this. Olivia, a young professional, often found herself walking on eggshells around her closest friend, Mia. Every conversation felt like a minefield, with Mia quick to take offense or create unnecessary drama. After one particularly tense argument, Olivia confided in another friend, "I feel like I'm living in a house that's always on fire. No matter how much I try to extinguish the flames, they keep coming back." The Zen metaphor captures this perfectly. If your house is on fire, you leave it. You don't stand there arguing with the flames. Take a moment to reflect. Are there relationships in your life that feel like that burning house? If so, how would your life change if you simply stepped away? Imagine the calm that could follow, the room you'd create for peace and authentic connections. For Olivia, the realization came when she noticed how exhausted she felt after every interaction with Mia. It wasn't just the arguments, she explained. It was the constant anxiety of not knowing when the next explosion would happen. By stepping away, Olivia found not just relief, but a renewed sense of clarity. She began meditating daily, focusing on reconnecting with herself and protecting her peace like a treasure. What about you? Have you ever stayed in a relationship that drained your tranquility? How did you recognize it was time to let go? Share your insights in the comments. They might inspire someone else to make the courageous choice to prioritize their inner peace. If this message resonates, like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications to explore more ways to cultivate a life of balance and serenity. Together, let's commit to guarding our peace and building connections that uplift, nurture, and align with our highest selves. The philosophy of letting go. Letting go is never easy, especially when it involves relationships that once meant the world to us. But as we've explored through the 9 signs, clinging to connections that harm, drain, or hold us back only prolongs suffering. This brings us to the heart of both Stoic and Buddhist teachings, the principle of impermanence. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. Nothing in life is permanent, not our circumstances, not our emotions, and certainly not all our relationships. Accepting this truth allows us to release what no longer aligns with our growth and make space for what does. Imagine your relationships as a garden. Some plants thrive, bursting with color and vitality, while others wither no matter how much water or sunlight you provide. A wise gardener doesn't hold on to the dead plants out of sentimentality. Instead, they remove what no longer grows to give room for new life to flourish. Relationships are no different. Nourish those that bring joy, support, and peace. And for those that wilt, despite your efforts, consider that letting go is not failure, but wisdom. A friend once shared with me her story of ending a long-time friendship. "It was like holding on to a rose bush with thorns," she said. "I kept hoping the blooms would return, but all I got was pain." Her words struck a chord. Sometimes we cling to the idea of what a relationship could be, ignoring the reality of what it has become. Have you ever found yourself in a similar situation, struggling to let go of what was, even as it caused you harm? The practice of letting go doesn't mean erasing memories or dismissing the value a relationship once held. Instead, it's about honoring what it was while acknowledging it no longer serves your path. Take a moment to reflect on the relationships in your life. Which ones feel like they nourish your spirit? Which ones weigh you down like unpruned vines? If this resonates with you, share your thoughts in the comments. How have you embraced the art of letting go? Like this video and subscribe to continue exploring Stoic principles that help us live with clarity and courage. Together, let's tend to the gardens of our lives, cultivating only what helps us grow into our fullest selves. Overcoming the fear of letting go. Letting go, even when we know it's the right choice, often comes with a whirlwind of fear. What if I'm left feeling lonely? What will others think of me? Am I being ungrateful or selfish? These fears can weigh heavily on us, making the act of release feel impossible. But as Marcus Aurelius teaches, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. It's not the act of letting go that hurts, it's the narrative we build around it. The fear of letting go often stems from our attachment to what was. Imagine a butterfly mourning the caterpillar it once was. It sounds absurd because transformation is natural, and the butterfly understands that becoming its truest self meant leaving its old form behind. Similarly, our growth sometimes requires us to release relationships or situations that no longer serve us. This isn't abandonment, it's evolution. Take my friend Alex, who wrestled with the decision to end a friendship that had turned toxic. "I was scared of what others would think," he told me. "Would they see me as cold or ungrateful?" But deep down, he realized that staying in the relationship was slowly eroding his peace. When Alex finally let go, he discovered something profound. The act of release wasn't about rejecting the other person, but about showing compassion for himself. Have you ever faced a similar fear, worrying more about others' perceptions than your own well-being? Both Stoicism and Buddhism offer guidance here. In Buddhism, karuna, compassion, is not just for others, but also for yourself. Stoic empathy reminds us that we cannot control others' judgments, only our own actions and intentions. Letting go is an act of love for both parties, creating space for healing and growth. By releasing someone, we may even offer them the freedom to confront their own challenges and evolve in their own way. Ask yourself, what would happen if I chose to prioritize my peace over my fear of judgment? Imagine the relief of living authentically, unshackled by the expectations of others. If you've ever overcome the fear of letting go, what helped you take that step? Share your insights in the comments. They may be the encouragement someone else needs today. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications as we explore more Stoic wisdom to empower your journey toward freedom and fulfillment. Together, let's embrace the courage to let go. Reclaiming inner peace. Letting go of harmful relationships is not about abandoning love, but about releasing yourself from suffering. It's a subtle yet profound distinction. Detachment, as Marcus Aurelius suggests, is not disconnection, but alignment with what truly matters. You cannot travel the path until you become the path itself, he writes, urging us to embrace clarity and purpose. To reclaim inner peace, we must detach from what hinders us, not from the love that enriches us. Detachment is a gift, an opportunity to step back from chaos and rediscover calm. Imagine standing on the shore of a stormy sea. While the waves crash relentlessly, stepping away allows you to observe the tempest without being swallowed by it. This shift from entanglement to perspective is where peace begins. By detaching, you create space for healing, growth, and more authentic connections. Practical steps can make this process transformative. Start with meditation to center your mind and calm the noise of emotions. Journaling can help you reflect on your feelings, track your progress, and rediscover your voice. Surround yourself with people who uplift you, those who respect your boundaries and share your values. Authentic relationships act as anchors, grounding you in mutual understanding and care. One of my friends, Leah, discovered this after ending a draining relationship. At first, I felt empty, she shared, but over time I realized the space left behind wasn't a void. It was an invitation for something better. Leah began journaling every evening, reflecting on her day and her emotions. She replaced draining interactions with meaningful ones and found joy in cultivating deeper bonds with people who truly valued her. "I didn't lose a relationship," she said. "I gained my peace." Reflect on your life. What could you gain by releasing what no longer serves you? How might your inner peace grow if you detached from unnecessary suffering? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your story could inspire someone else to take their first step toward reclaiming tranquility. If this resonates with you, like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications to continue exploring ways to align with your highest self. Together, let's honor the gift of detachment and embrace the peace that comes with it. Trust that the space you create will be filled with meaningful, enriching connections that align with the path you are meant to walk. Life is a journey of growth, and along the way, we outgrow not only places and habits, but sometimes even people. The decision to cut ties, even with family or close friends, is never easy. But as Stoicism teaches us, it is often necessary for our peace, growth, and alignment with virtue. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." Living fully means courageously stepping away from what holds us back and choosing what nurtures our true selves. Throughout this exploration of the 9 signs, we've seen that detachment is not about rejection, but about self-respect and compassion for all involved. Each sign serves as a guidepost, encouraging you to reflect on your relationships and prioritize what serves your inner peace and growth. Now, we want to hear from you. Have you ever faced a moment when you realized it was time to let go of a relationship? What helped you make that decision, and what changed in your life afterward? Share your story in the comments. Your experiences could be the light someone else needs to make their own courageous choice. If this video resonated with you, show your support by liking, sharing, and subscribing. Turn on notifications so you never miss a chance to deepen your understanding of Stoic philosophy and its transformative power in everyday life. As you move forward, carry this question with you. What relationships in my life reflect the person I want to become, and which ones pull me away from that path? The answers may surprise you, but they will also set you free. Together, let's embrace the strength, wisdom, and clarity of living a life rooted in authenticity and purpose. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.